I've never met anyone who didn't want to be ripped in 12 weeks. Are you one of those?
I got some dirty shit to pick up at the dry clean. I got a tidy bitch to pick up, I got Selena. Shady hop up in the whip, but I ain't never seen it. Shady love the way I whip it in a two-seater.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to cover the body recomposition diet that I actually used to go from 17 to 18% body fat down to what's being told is 8% body fat. I've actually spoken to a few people within the industry about it because my calipers are becoming virtually useless. And we all calculated to be around 8.8 or 8.5% body fat. So first off, what is this diet? It's a version of ketogenesis diet. I wasn't overly happy with the way keto was structured. I didn't like the 70% fat. I didn't like the 30% protein. I just don't like lower protein diets. Low carb is fine for me. That part didn't actually matter. But I didn't like the 70% fat. That's the main reason why I decided to sort of play around. And I wanted to utilize a couple of fat burning methods from just your body digesting food, basically. So for those who've not heard of the thermogenic effect of food, basically protein is very thermogenic, i.e. your body has to use energy to digest it. That process is actually gluconeogenesis is actually occurring. That's why protein becomes thermogenic, is the process called gluconeogenesis. I did touch on that on the last video. Gluconeogenesis, in case you didn't watch the last video, is the conversion to glucose from non-carbohydrate sources, i.e. stored body fat and protein. You do not get gluconeogenesis from dietary fat. It just doesn't happen. So I wanted to sort of manipulate those things as well. Gluconeogenesis in itself ups your energy expenditure as well, so it increases your total TDEE, so total daily energy expenditure. And I basically want to sort of play around with those whilst going into a low carb diet. And I was doing this really to kind of test for clients to see whether or not this would actually be beneficial to put clients on. So I decided to put myself through it as my own guinea pig. I did it for 12 weeks, and obviously if you've saw the natural transformation video, then you've seen the results. If you haven't seen it, go check it out, and then that'll let you know if this diet actually works or not, which, you know, hint hint, it works perfectly well. So if you see me looking down, so my notes are actually on my tablet down below. So is this diet for everyone? In an answer, no. Not everyone can do low carbohydrate diets. I found that 95% of people I've given this to have not had an issue with it. However, there have been a couple of people sort of here and now which did have issues. One actually was, she was going through menopause. For those males out there who aren't aware of what actually menopause, well, everyone's heard of what menopause is, but it messes with your hormones big time. And that really causes problems when it comes to weight loss. She did lose weight, she did lose fat, she did lose size. It just wasn't as effective as it should have been. And the other person that it didn't work terribly well for, it still worked. She got absolutely ripped within 10 weeks. I actually had to pull her off the diet because it was too effective. All we had to do was we actually had to play with the carbohydrate intake a little bit. She wasn't able to sustain her daily activities, as in cycling to work, and she cycles quite a lot. She wasn't able to maintain her activity levels on the carbohydrate base that I'd put her on. So we just toyed around with the carbohydrates a little bit, got that sorted, and then that was it. The actual fat loss itself was working fine. It was actually just more of a quality of life thing for her. So yes, in an answer, the diet is for 95% people. There are going to be people that doesn't suit. You will still lose fat on it. It just might not suit your lifestyle. So the basic premise of this diet is you want to be in a 500 calorie deficit. And I'm going to put the calculator below in the description. That's the bodybuilding.com calculator that I use. You want to go in there, put in your age, your height, your current weight, either in pounds or kilos, however it works out, and put in your activity levels. So be honest with your activity levels. Don't try and say, well, I work out hard in the gym and I work out 4 days a week. If you just go in and you kind of do moderate workouts, I always recommend to people to start on the lightly active, depending how many days a week they're training. If you're weight training 6 days a week, even if it's moderate sessions, you would probably want to go moderately active. But yeah, I always urge people to be really honest with it, because all you're really going to do is screw yourself over. If you go too high, your fat loss just won't be anywhere near as good. So you want to be in a 500 calorie deficit. I'll say calculator below. For those of you who are either unaware of what macros are, go and check out my previous video, which actually covers the basics of macronutrients. But we'll quickly recap on what the actual calories are. So protein is 4 grams 4 calories per gram. Carbohydrates are 4 calories per gram. Fat is 9 calories per gram. And alcohol on this diet, we don't give a shit about because you're not going to have it. However, for those of you who care, 7 calories per gram or unit. And that's not taking into account the carbohydrates found in the alcohol. So I'm going to go through an example for males and females. The diet is different for each sex. So for males, the perfect example basically would be me, 38, 5'11", 160 pounds, and I've put down lightly active just to give you guys an example. That comes out at a calorie total of 1750. So the way that you're actually going to break this down, and this is the important part, I'm going to put this on the screen, probably covering my whole face, is how you're actually going to work out what your macros are going to be. This is the good stuff, this is the juicy stuff that you need and that you're going to want to get used to. So males, you're going to set your protein at 1.5 grams per pound of protein. I already know there's going to be people out there having a heart attack going, that's way too high. Bullshit. Look at my transformation video, it works. 1.5 grams per pound of protein. For me, that takes me out at 240 grams, which is 960 calories. Next, we're going to go to carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, you're going to set to 20 grams. That's going to be your daily limit. That will already be used up before you even try and get carbs in, so you're not going to be getting carbs in. So that is for your trace carbs that you find in food. That also covers the veg that you're going to be eating on this. I will cover that. Actually, I'll cover that now while I'm here. So every main meal that you have, as in breakfast, dinner, tea, you need to have 100 grams of fibrous green veg every meal. Be that broccoli, asparagus, kale, spinach, anything green and fibrous, you're going to want that. There's nothing worse than being on a high protein diet when you can't have a bowel movement. Trust me, you just don't want it. You also don't want to be on anything higher than 1.5 grams per pound of body weight for protein. I tried it, just gave me a bit of a dodgy stomach. 1.5 grams seemed to be the ideal when I was playing around with it. So that brings you basically to fat. So the totals for the carbs and the protein so far is 1040 calories, which gives you 710 calories remaining. All those calories are now going to go into fat. So you take those 710 calories remaining, divide by 9, which is your calories per gram, and that gives you out at 79 grams. I've rounded that up. It's actually 78.84 or something like that, and that gives me a total calorie count of 1751. Now for females, this is the part you ladies want to pay attention. So the example I've used is she's 38, she's 5'9", 160 pounds also, lightly active. That came out at 1455 calories. Protein for ladies, you don't need as much protein. You don't waste muscle the same as men do. The reason the protein is so high for men is basically so you can either recomp or you can hold on to as much muscle mass as possible during your cut. But ladies, you don't need anywhere near as much protein. So I've actually set you at 1.1 gram per pound of protein. You can go as low as 1 gram per pound. I don't really like anyone going lower than that. I don't set my clients any lower than that unless I really have to. But so far, that's only had to happen for one person. So 1.1 grams per pound of protein, that comes out 176 grams of protein overall, which is 704 calories. Again, 20 grams of carbohydrates, that doesn't change, it's exactly the same. Your 100 grams of fibrous green veg is exactly the same as well. And then we're going to go to the total so far, which is 784 calories, which gives you 671 calories remaining. All that's going to go into fat again, ladies. And you're going to set your fat for this example to 75 grams. Again, I've rounded that up. It actually came out as 74 point something. So I've actually rounded it up. That gives you a grand total of 1459 calories. So don't just grab the macros and run off. There is actually a couple more bits to go into. I'm going to try and keep this as short as I can because this could potentially get quite a lengthy video. So how to make sure you keep progressing with the diet. As you lose weight, you need to adjust your macros. Okay, so I know that might sound like I'm trying to teach you to suck eggs, but you wouldn't believe the amount of people that don't realize this. As you start dropping weight, start dropping the protein. Okay. That's actually going to adjust your macros and adjust your calorie intake as you're losing weight. Keep it at 1.5 grams for males, keep it at 1.1 grams for females, and that will automatically, or just organically, it will just lower your calories as you lose weight. Once you start getting lower and lower and lower, you will start to want to take a little bit of fat off as well. Keep double checking that your calories are correct by going to the calculator, putting in your new details, and just making sure that it spits out pretty much the number that you're at. If not, correct where you're at to what the calculator is telling you and carry on. Again, carbohydrate intake does not change. Training for this, I recommend that you weight train at least 4 days a week, and I recommend that you're training hard in a German volume style training, something with high volume. That's going to help you burn a lot of calories. It's also going to help you build muscle at the same time. Yes, you can build muscle while burning fat. Is bullshit that people will tell you cannot do it. As you get more and more experienced, you're not going to be able to do that as well. But chances are, if you're that experienced, you're not looking at my videos anyway currently until I get more advanced. So I definitely recommend that you're weight training at least 4 days a week. Get some ab training in there. I didn't do much ab training during my 12 weeks. I wish I had. I wish I'd actually done some weighted ab training. If I did, my abs would have looked better and they would have popped out probably a lot sooner. So I'm trying to give you a tip of something that I wish I'd done. It's not I wish 5 things I wish I did before 5 things I wish I knew before I weight trained. I think people have already milked that cow to death already. Cardio, I don't recommend you start cardio straight away. I will cover this in another video. However, you don't want to throw everything at this all at once, because if you plateau, you've got nowhere to go if you throw everything at it. So put the cardio in when it feels right, when things start to slow, if things start to slow. This should provide you with constant fat loss every single week. It has done me, it has done all my clients that I've given it to. I've not had a single client stall for a week on this nutrition plan. Now bear in mind, I am the trainer. I have more contact with them, so I can adjust things as I go. You might need to sort of play around with things, make it sort of suit you. But it may slow your results down. You may get the same results. Will you look like me after the 12 weeks? As I did in the picture, maybe, maybe not. If you've got more fat to lose, it might take you a little bit longer. If you've got less fat to lose, you probably get there faster. If you have more muscle than I did, you're going to look way better than I did. So what to expect from the diet? As I said, you're going to get consistent fat loss. You can get a fuzzy head from roughly day 2 to day 5, or I think it was day 4.5 for me. It's nothing to worry about. It's nothing major. It's just that sort of you've slept too long type fuzzy head. You can still work, you can still drive, you can still do everything else. It's basically just your body and your brain particularly moving away from glucose as its main energy source. It will start using fat for its energy source, but you won't really enter ketogenesis, which is a great thing, because I say you're not going to get keto breath, you're not going to get keto flu. So that's actually quite a good thing. Results, as I said, you're going to get consistent fat loss. The results for me, obviously I went from 17 to 18% body fat down to 8 roughly, and that's kind of where we anticipate that I was. So possible issues that you might get, these are very, very rare, guys. So you can run into fiber issues if you're not getting the vegetables in that I've said, 100 grams every main meal. Ideally, if you can get it in, if you're able to get 6 meals in a day, get 100 grams in every single meal for the 6 meals. If you're not getting that in, you might need a fiber supplement. So something like My Protein's VitaFiber will do you fine. So just start out with 1 scoop of that. Do not track that. It's pointless. As I said in the previous video, you do not track dietary fiber. So just put it into a shake or put it into some water or coffee, whatever you want to use in. Just don't track it. You don't need to. Another issue that some people might get when they go into low carb diet. Now this isn't actually an issue with my diet. This is actually just low carb diets in general. When you go on to, some people when they go into a low carb diet have issues with sleep. I find that to be to do with serotonin levels. My wife is actually the only one that's got this so far. But yeah, she got it. So how you solve that, if you do run into issues where you cannot sleep and it's out of your norm to kind of not be able to sleep, or the quality of your sleep is just garbage, change your carbohydrate levels to 50 grams. And lower the fat levels slightly and lower the protein level slightly, and then have roughly 50 grams of instant oats before bed, or porridge oats, as long as you do it with water. Have 50 grams of oats before bed. That's going to give you roughly 34 grams of carbohydrates. That should be enough to help you get to sleep, and that'll be that problem solved. So general tips: if protein levels are too high, as in you're just not be able to eat enough protein, utilize protein shakes. There's nothing wrong with supplementary shakes. That's why they're there. They're called supplements. On this diet, you will be eating clean, so it will be a supplement for an already good diet. If you're still struggling to get the shakes in, or get the protein in, even with the shakes, you just need to learn to eat more, in all honesty. But if you're really pushing and you really can't get it and you still can't get it, lower the protein slightly. I don't recommend for guys you go any lower than 1.3 grams per pound. Females, as I said, I don't like you going any lower than 1 gram per pound. And then put the rest of the calories that you just lost from the protein into fats. Carbohydrates stay exactly the same, as I said, unless you've got that sleep issue. Use oils and nut butters to your advantage. So if you're having a protein shake and your fat levels are high enough that you need that you still need to be getting fats and you're just not hitting the levels, throw a tablespoon of olive oil into your protein shake. You won't taste it, you won't even know it's there. It'll just give you a slightly smoother protein shake, but again, it won't affect the flavor. And track that 1 tablespoon of olive oil is 15 grams of fat. So just put it down into your tracker as one tablespoon. So supplements that I recommend for this diet, I recommend a protein powder because a lot of people will struggle with the protein intake, females particularly. That's not being sexist, it's just my experience with this diet. Females particularly struggle with the protein intake, so protein shakes will work quite well with you. Guys, you can take creatine, there's no issues taking creatine. I don't mind if you take branched chain amino acids. I did a little bit, but I more often than not just forgot to take them to the gym. So I couldn't really say in my video that I used them and they helped me get that way because I didn't really use them all that much. But I've got no issues with branched chain amino acids if you want to use them. Jerry Ward was kind of correct. They do, two elements of it do convert into glucose, but if you're only having 15 grams through a workout, how much glucose are you going to get from that? Really, it's not going to be all that much. So there's not really too much of an issue with that. When you're eating out, so this is actually one that I get all the time. What do I do if I eat out to a restaurant? What do I do if I go to to friends? If you go to a restaurant, I haven't come across a single restaurant yet which will not cater to your needs. So basically, if you turn and say, I just want plain steak, I want 100 grams of broccoli, and that's it. 9 times out of 10, they will bring you a plain steak and just 100 grams of broccoli. They will give you what you ask for. If they don't, just push all the potatoes and stuff away, eat the vegetables. If they give you sauce in a steak, just try and wipe the sauce off, try and have the steak as little sauce as possible. If you go to friends and they don't get it, because some people won't get it, I'm sure people that have dieted before will say the fact that their friends just don't get it if they're not into fitness. If your friends don't get it, either do exactly what I've just said and tell them that you're on low carb and you don't want any any potatoes or any chips or anything like that. You just want meat and veg, that's it. If they won't cater to that, it's life. Eat your friend's food. Get on with your diet the following day. We all have lives, things get in the way sometimes. When I did my 12-week one, as I said, I literally became a hermit. I trained and I ate and I worked. That was it. Nothing interfered with it. I went away for 1 weekend where our friends knew what we were doing or knew what I was doing. My wife did it as well. And we programmed in a cheat meal for that weekend. And we got out and had an Indian. Wish I didn't because I felt like crap after it. But then after that, it just kicked on with the diet again. That was fine. The boring part they found was the fact we weren't drinking alcohol. So I don't really know what they're trying to say about that. If we're not fun when we're not drinking, I don't know. So table sauces and food sauces, this is one thing that, again, that people don't really get. Your table sauces all have carbohydrates. So you cannot have them when you're doing this sort of diet. You can have something like Frank's hot sauce, which is basically just pepper sauce, Tabasco sauce. Most foreign pepper sauces are going to be fine. They're not going to contain any sugars, any carbohydrates, anything like that. You'll be fine with that. Most of your food sauces, they're going to contain carbs. You want to avoid them if you can. But you can use herbs and spices and all that sort of stuff as well. You can use all that. There's not really any issue with that. You can also flavour all your food with like chilies and chili powders and garlic powders and whatever else you want to do. Milk and yogurts, again, people kind of just seem to have this misconception that they can have milk and yogurt on the diet. Carbohydrates, guys, you cannot have that. If you're even lactose intolerant and you're on a diet and that you have a glass of milk, that will sit in your stomach for ages and it will actually block nutrient uptake by a certain percentage. So trust me, I found that when I did it as well. I just finished my diet and I thought, I'm gonna have a glass of milk, I'm dying for a glass of milk. And I felt like crap after it because my stomach just wasn't taking it very well. And then I started wondering why. I was putting on a little bit of body fat straight after it. And actually it was to do with the fact that I just wasn't uptaking the nutrients properly. As soon as that had processed through me, sorry to be crude, that all went away. And my fat came back off again and it was all good. So that's pretty much all I've got to say about the diet. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below. I will answer any questions that you have if anyone does any. So far I've not really managed to get many comments on videos, but I'm hoping that'll turn around. That's my body comp diet or fat loss diet, whatever you want to call it. It's very effective. It works very well. just have to give it a chance. Don't dismiss it. The video from my composited recomp is there. You can see the results. You can see it works. Anyway, I'm David Best. This has been this video. So drop a comment below. Subscribe to the channel if you like it. Ding the bell if you want notified when I do another video. The next video will be on Friday. It's going to be a new segment for females only. It's going to be called Female Friday. So check that one out if you're female. And until then, I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.